5 o'clock, and unless someone has a reason not to begin, we may as well call this joint workshop meeting to order. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for having the interest in taking your time to craft a plan that helps balances public health and the enjoyment of Washington Park. And in order to respect your time, we will do our best to be succinct, orderly, and remain on topic. So this is our second joint meeting to form a comprehensive and feasible plan. The first goal of tonight's meeting will be to firm up the leaders comprising the Washington Park decision-making team. The decision-making team will be the group deciding if Washington Park should remain open, closed, or something in between during a pandemic. The second goal of the meeting tonight is to evaluate the feasibility of the Washington Park operational plan if restrictions are put into place. So jumping right in, let's firm up the leaders of the decision-making team. The original plan included one member of the city council, specifically the president. During our last meeting, some committee members recommended the city council should have 3 representatives on the committee. So the revised plan, which is attached, I think you all should have been emailed that tonight. The revised plan is a compromise. 2 members of the city council, both to be appointed by the council rather than directing the city council president to be a member. That way the council can choose who they want to be on the decision-making team. How does everyone feel? Any discussion on the revised council representation on the decision-making team?
Now that I'm the president, I actually like the previous one better. I didn't involve myself in the conversation before because I felt like it was a bit of a conflict with me wanting to vote down the ordinance and all that stuff. But at this point in time, what I saw was the one that said president, council member, and two subordinate or alternates. There was something else that came out recently, right after that. Maybe I didn't read the part that said it was, voted on as opposed to the president appointing.
Yeah, I think the idea there, Mr. Mack, was that the council, it just depends how many representatives from the council on the committee, and then the idea we could state it be the president, or just let the council determine which 2 members that they want to appoint.
I just don't like the idea of adding difficulty to this process. I would nominate. I would take my position, and Dahlia is going to be the other one, and the 2 alternates would be the Prespolinskis. And okay. I would assume that I'm going to allow one of those 2 to come into my spot most frequently. So that's so. If I hear you correctly, you're in favor of 2 representatives from the council. It's just identifying that up front rather than leaving it open. It'd be yes. Okay. I think that's reasonable. Anyone else have any input or discussion? Because Dahlia is going to be the representative for the liaison. We haven't announced it yet, but it's all pretty much done.
We can adjust we could tweak it to represent what you just presented. Mm-hmm. And I'd be fine with that. Any objections from anyone?
I just have a comment. So why won't we just say it's the council liaison and the council president and an alternate?
2 alternates. Right.
Yeah, an alternate for each person. We could do that.
That's exactly what I'd said.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Unless there's any other discussion, we'll move on.
Excuse me, Mr. Latchford, can you clarify if Michael Mack is unable to attend, who's his successor? Is it Don or Paul? What order are they in?
We'll call it Paul.
And then Don for Dahlia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. This decision-making team, we provided a framework, and I'll just briefly remind everyone, this is the framework that I'm referring to. However, again, it's just a framework, and there's elements in that plan that can be adjusted by the decision-making team. Those elements basically are capacity at what percent and hours of operation. But they can also choose to follow the framework of the plan, add to the framework, or delete from the framework. So just as a point of reference. The second point that we wanted to discuss tonight is the actual Washington Park operations, which has a lot to do with what we just pointed out here. If there are no restrictions in place, then we'll operate Washington Park as we have historically. If there are restrictions in place, if they're in place between May 15th and Labor Day, we have parking staff at that time that can basically handle any of the restrictions or limitations that are put into place. It's on the bookends of those dates that can be a challenge. For example, if we have restrictions in place between now and May 15th, that can be challenging. If there are restrictions in place Labor Day on into the fall, those can be challenging. So what we thought we could do at that point is redeploy our seasonal park employees. Those seasonal park employees, they take care of the grass, they pick up leaves, they pick up trash, flowers, etc. We would redeploy them to manage the gate. And by managing the gate, I mean by controlling the capacity entering Washington Park. There are some pros to that plan, and that is it allows for a quick response, and the seasonals are already employed and they're ready to go. The cons to that plan are we may have to hire seasonals a little earlier than we had planned. We may have to keep them on payroll a little later than planned. If we do that, then that also means there might be some extra labor dollars in the park department that aren't in the budget, and that will potentially require an additional appropriation. I don't think it's a lot of money. We did a thumbnail amount, how much we spent in the fall, and it was about $8,000. But there were also a lot of salaried people that were there. So even if we double that it'd be $16,000 in the fall, and if you double that for the spring, another $16,000. So those are the type of money we're talking about that could be added to the budget. One other con to this is that since we're redeploying seasonal park people, we could have some eyesores in the park if their redeployment is extended. For example, since they're cutting the grass and picking up the trash and that type of work, that may have to be put aside for a little bit as we get through these periods of limiting the park capacity.
I do have
Yes.
a question. Yes. So if we're going to be outside the regular, operation time, let's say after Labor Day, so they're going to have gate workers to control the capacity. Are they also going to be taking fees?
At this point, we were not going to have them take fees only because the challenges in doing that with maybe the workforce that we are leaning on to help us with controlling capacity. But that's something we could, I'm open to evaluate, and that's why we're having these meetings.
Yeah, I was wondering if we had some kind of a ticket system, I don't know what it is, but like contactless, whatever. So if they have this, they go in. I mean, like I say, I'm sure there's a lot of options, and it would be nice to continue the revenue if we are manning the gate.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was my first thing. Let's just collect money. We can offset the labor costs. But Shannon, if you don't mind jumping in a little bit, some of the challenges that by the way, Shannon manages the parking operation down there. So she's more aware of some of the challenges that we might be presented with having a temporary seasonal work staff manning the gate and trying to collect money.
So there's many challenges. The first would be the training. We instituted a new point of sale system in 2020 to collect credit card payments. But the maintenance staff is not going to be trained to use that system. It would require handling a large amount of cash, so we would have to have people in supervisory capacities working that operation full time, meaning that time of year my supervisors are back in college. That would probably fall onto my desk, running a 60, 70-hour operation to manage and train the staff. So those are the major obstacles. Ideally, we would just keep our parking staff on later, but they're, 99% of them are teachers, college students, or high school students.
So how feasible is it to have some kind of a kiosk somewhere, I don't know where people could put the cash in and get a ticket? So all they would have to do, or put their credit card in and get a ticket. So all your gate people would have to do is just pick up a piece of paper,
Yeah, and I mentioned that to Mr. Shannon previously before as well, and me and Councilwoman Jigas talked about it. If you can at least provide, do some research on that. I go to, when I'm traveling or go to different locations that are tourist attractions, they actually have that in place, and then you can have more gates open as well, and it tracks the traffic coming and going. So if you could look at some type of armed system, I know the prices come down on those types of kiosks, especially with car washes now. I don't know, I have one of those automated car wash deals where I got my sticker, I pull up and it opens up, something like that. If you could present something, some research on that would be great, because I think the way we are set up is not the most efficient with handling that kind of money. And I just think it is something that the time is now for something like that, especially it gives us real-time numbers on, comings and going. So if you could just provide some information next, 60 days, that would be great.
As we have researched multiple control systems for Washington Park, but it's been a long time, and Angie's right, the prices have come way down. We researched pay stations, which are what Dahlia's talking about. The equipment alone was over $1 million, and we had to have electrical infrastructure and gates that we don't have. Washington Park is kind of a tricky park because the way it's set up, the ins and outs and the crossroads in between. The pay stations were not a bad solution, but I'm thinking that's probably pretty outdated technology right now with all the apps you have where you could pay before you even get there. You still have to have some control because not everyone's going to get out and get their ticket. So you still have to have human beings down there monitoring that people have paid, and but we can definitely look into that with these same companies and see what they're offering today.
Shannon, could I ask a question? I know we brought up revenue and maybe hoping to extend that in some capacity into that time where we'll have to monitor this outside of our regular period, our park period usually. There have been years in the past, though, where I'm not sure if we've opened early or we've manned it later because of really good weather. Is that possible in future years? And if that did happen, we could collect that additional revenue in that time. Again, it's all going to depend on if we've got the staff to keep it.
So historically, we were open at least 2 weekends beyond Labor Day, weather permitting. Unfortunately, over the years, the school system has pushed their starting date back, and that's why we lose our staff so early. The colleges have done the same. But yes, we would always open weather dependent. We didn't make a lot of money, but it averaged out to about $3,000 a day on those warm September weekends, which is worth being open if we can staff it.
Yeah.
But again, if you had pay stations and you only needed 1 or 2 parking lot monitors, you could be collecting all the way through October.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely something to look into a new system.
From what I'm hearing is we have to be a little more open-minded maybe in terms of either a system and or having someone in place besides Shannon that can manage it should the season be extended where we have an opportunity to offset labor costs. Mr. Mack.
I don't want to be redundant on the subject, but if in the off season we do $3,000 a day, is it like a cost benefit analysis to hire somebody else to actually do that. It just seems like you're missing, even if we do it the same way. If we stay with the Pony Express manner of doing things and just hire somebody else, it seems like that you still capture more money, as opposed to, trying to work around the lack of ability to develop and train people. And I think those are the breaks in the whole United States, the lack of the ability to develop and train people. But I would like to be part of the group to aggressively hire, train, develop, and take all of the accommodating bumps and bruises that go with, trying to lead that charge. But it just seems like even if you're bad at hiring and training, it would still be a better cost benefit analysis than, leaving money on the table.
I would agree. Maybe when we're doing our recruiting for this summer, we'll have that in mind as we go about it. Not that we're shutting the doors at Labor Day, that we're looking for someone that can help us fulfill exactly.
So Shannon doesn't have to do it. I mean, whatever that individual will be paid, it sounds like, a decent summer takes care of that and more.
So in the past, Michael, we've tried to recruit at least 6 retirees on our team. That allowed us to extend the season after school started. But when COVID hit, I lost all 6 last year. They weren't comfortable working with the public, which I totally understand. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, if we get back to a normal way of life, I mean, that's what we would look at again, because and the retirees we have are very dependable. They know Michigan City. They're very knowledgeable, and they're willing to extend our season.
Yeah, I'm thinking even professionals until we can get, because if the guys that can do the pay gates and things can do it in one season, but a lot of times I think that stuff takes a while to get the infrastructure and stuff. If we're looking at 2, 3, 4 years to do what we're doing, I mean, instead of retirees or, get somebody that costs $60,000, $70,000 and put in the work, have some expectations and demands. I mean, that just seems like it would pay for itself, but I'd have to see the numbers. But.
Right. Yeah, I hate leaving money on the table. So I know exactly where you're coming from, and we'll strive to we're not in that position to where we're letting people in for free when they pay to come in.
I have a question on that system, and I'm all for technology. Any type of system that people would flash a card, or is that what you were talking about, Angie, where somebody might flash a card or pick up a ticket? My question is, we have so many items going on. We have the zoo, we have people going to the zoo, and we have people that at some times of the year, we have much more people that want to just drive through and never get out of the vehicle. And I don't know how a system can determine who's going to be driving through and who's going to be parking. And if somebody decides they want to drive through and then they're halfway in there into the parking, then they're not parked.
I guess I will leave that to the experts, who I think are you. But I like the parking sticker with the barcode. I like the app idea where if they don't have the sticker and they show the barcode on their phone after they paid, if they pay for, parking, I think they should have proof of it or something. But I'm just, driving through, I hope people aren't just driving through, because I was a kid once upon a time. If you let me drive through, I'm gonna park somewhere at some point and get out and then drive through, right? So I don't know if that's even, I hope that's not an option.
Well, I guess my point was,
unless it's just a resident. But even with residents, at some point, even with those parking stickers, that barcode idea, that could give you a lot of information. The only reason why I'm saying that is if you're handing out, let's say 5,000 or 10,000 parking stickers and only 400 people from the city use it, right? You would know that instead of just a blanket, everybody's picking up parking stickers. You will have some data to show you, are residents really using this park like we think or not?
Yeah, I like that.
Right now, we don't know. We know that we see a lot of out of town cars and license plates, but how do you quantify that? I mean, having something with the barcode would just be helpful, because now you can track of the residents who picked up stickers. 25% of them never came through the park ever, right? So something like that. Paper is kind of outdated. If there was a way to do it without the paper, that would be great, unless somebody needed a receipt for business or something. But it would even be nice if the zoo had certain days of the week that, they allowed free parking for the zoo if you come to the zoo, where they get some type of ticket and it lets them in the gate. I mean, I think there's so many opportunities that we're missing to get more bodies in the zoo and keep the parking lot, the way it needs to be. But we need to make sure, like the zoo, people who visit the zoo have parking. And if we're just allowing people to come and just park and sit all day, but we got people wanting to go to the zoo and pay, I mean, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration.
Good expert.
Good point.
To your point, Ed, when I go visit my daughter in Chicago, you pay and put your piece of paper in the window. And as long as that paper is in the window, you can do what you want. And instead of having one of us be the hall monitor that we have to pay, the towing company is the hall monitor. And if you actually are trying to park your car there with scam intent, then you pay. And the towing company can have all of the money. But we set that precedent that we're not going to try to be the hall monitor for every bad behavior. So if you pay, you stick it on the dashboard. And if you didn't pay and you have a sticker that you paid for, that's in the window. So we don't have to be the hall monitor for everything. The hall monitor is a serious financial fine for trying to be slick.
The parking operation is large enough and enough revenue, it justifies a thorough analysis of operating systems to help us manage it. We did receive a few suggestions from our last meeting, and we would encourage any other suggestions. I think tonight's discussion on the automated payment is great. We received some suggestions if we went red in Washington Park to allow at least a driving lane where people can really go and watch the sunsets and come through. So that's something we certainly can consider. We received another suggestion too about park stickers and color-coded and maybe segregating people in different parking lots. And that one's a little more problematic. I would think our park staff can determine the best place to put cars. And if one lot becomes over capacity, whether it's 50%, then they can direct anyone, the next group of people going to another lot, versus having it predetermined. But we welcome all suggestions, and please keep them coming, whether it's from the committee or from the public, because our goal here is just to help manage Washington Park during a pandemic, that balance between public health and enjoyment of Washington Park. And again, thank everyone for their time tonight. I want to keep it open for discussion if there is any, but in respect for your time, I just want to say thank you for sharing your insights and your ideas. And we're going to get this thing better and better. So we do have another meeting scheduled, whether it's needed or not, or I'll leave it up to the committee. It's scheduled for January 21st. But the way I see it right now, we've tackled most of the items. Welcome to have another meeting just for ideas to come back. We won't have had time to vet a whole parking system by that time. But if we want to meet again just to solidify, I'm great with that. Or if we think we're on the road here and we want to meet maybe a little further down the road as things warm up, just to make sure and reconnect, I'm happy with that as well.
Mr. Lashford.
Yes.
I know that we see that Jack Arnett from the CBB made a comment, which I think is very important. he stated that he thinks that it'd be a great opportunity for them to partner with us on tracking, because it's important for them to know how many people are coming in and out of the area as well. So I just want to make sure we said that on the record since it's recording. But yeah, I think people could get on board with that. So hopefully maybe in the next 30 to 45 days, we could have some information.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
So if I can interject, I've already spoken to our IT department about the barcode tracking. That's a very simple, inexpensive operation to put into place. I mean, we could probably have that installed in both gates in 6 weeks would be my guess. We already have the IT infrastructure. It's just a couple of barcode readers. And the backside of that system is simple as well. And I think it's very worthwhile. We've never had an accurate count of cars in and out of Washington Park since I've worked here. We did have a company come in, I think it was 2016 maybe, but they came in, I think it was the last week of August, and they were only there 3 weekends. So I looked at their data and said, how could you even get any realistic picture of this park? You missed Memorial Day, you missed 4th of July, you missed the boat race, you missed everything. So this is an inexpensive way to collect that data, and thanks, Jack, for wanting to help us out with that. So I will definitely look into that like immediately. The automated systems would probably take us a little more time.
Possibly there could be a barcode for the temporary guests. If they go to a machine and put in their $20 or whatever, and they get some kind of thing that could be still read by the barcode readers, but it would know it's like a cash day pass only kind of thing.
Well, we have that already.
So that means that the gate people don't have to use any point of sale necessarily. If everybody has either a sticker on their window or they obtain a printed sticker from some kind of kiosk kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. So you're just replacing our point of sale with a kiosk. Yeah.
I feel like we can meet once we know a little bit more about this automated system, because that's really going to be the most interesting thing for us, unless there's some kind of other issue coming up.
Okay, I would agree. Well, how about we'll take this, we'll do our homework, and then we'll, when it's appropriate, we'll make it a priority. We'll reconvene in a month or so, and at least maybe just give you a status update of where we are. We may not have it completely there, but at least you'll know that we're working on it and that we're making headway, and then we get input at that point and make sure that everyone's on the same page as where we're going with this idea. If that sounds okay with everyone? Okay. Any other comments or discussion tonight?
I just have one question, just a point of clarification, and that doesn't really deal with anything with the pandemic. But several meetings ago, we had talked about changing the fees, and I, in the back of my head, I think that we did agree on going from $8 to $15 for visitors. That still stands, does it not?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
That's still a deal if you ask me.
I agree.
It is.
All right, unless there are any other questions or comments, we'll just conclude tonight's meeting. Again, thanks everyone for carving out time. I really appreciate your input and your willingness to help us make this better for everyone involved.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Be healthy and be safe.
Yes, please. Have a good one.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.